Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hi everybody, it's Jeff. Wonderful day here in Maine. Actually, it was cool out, and this morning it was freezing out. Believe it or not. And when I went to bed, I had a fan running in the bedroom. When I woke up, the fan was freezing. You know, I had to shut the windows and shut the fan off. I'm like, God Almighty. It felt like it was like 50 degrees. Today, you know, the sun came out a little bit and then it clouded in like all of a sudden, and we had like this 5-minute thunderstorm and then it went away. And it clouded in again, but I don't think we're getting any rain right now. It's just cloudy. But the sun did come out for quite a while. And it didn't really get hot. And I was like, geez, it's not a nice friggin' day. So I went out and I did some things and enjoyed the day, because we don't get many days like that even in the summer in this state. And we're coming up on the door here of August, which is considered the hottest month out of the year for summer. You know what I'm saying? It's just very hot in August, so we're probably going to be seeing some really high temperatures in the coming days here. So much there, huh? But yes, it was really nice out, and I hope that people elsewhere are getting a break from the heat too. Probably wouldn't be so likely in the southern states. You know, it's the way it is where you are located. But anyway, there was a story here that came out today involving a problem that went on during the COVID pandemic, at the height of it anyway. And let me see, this article here was published on a local radio station website, and let me see if I can find the author of it. No, it doesn't show. Just says it's published under this news radio station here in Maine. Okay, so anyway, this is the title of the story here. It's Maine physician who prescribed discredited COVID-19 treatments wanted to make a spectacle of a state investigation. 18 months later, she said she's succeeded. After they struggled with COVID-19 symptoms for 2 weeks, Joel Mahoney drove his parents to Penn Bay Medical Center in Rockport, where his mother, Nancy Mahoney, was admitted on December the 19th of 2021 for complaints of labored breathing, fatigue, and a cough. She was treated for COVID pneumonia that required supplemental oxygen. She told the hospital treating her that a Dr. Ellsworth, internist, Merrill Nass, had diagnosed her with COVID, quote, over the phone, unquote, earlier that month, and prescribed a 5-day supply of anti-parasitic drug ivermectin. The proponents of using the drug to treat COVID have been roundly criticized, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has warned it should not be used to prevent or treat the virus. The hospitalist reported Nass to the Maine Bureau of Licensure in Medicine the same day Nancy Mahoney was hospitalized, according to disciplinary documents, and the board subsequently suspended Nass's license. In the 18 months since, Nass and her disciplinary case have become a cause for anti-vaccination advocates like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and far-right publications. She's vigorously fighting her suspension, and RFK Jr.'s anti-vaccine advocacy group is paying Nass's legal fees, she said. She appears to welcome the publicity. At one point, when Nass informed Joel Mahoney in a text message that the board suspended his mother's medical records, subpoenaed his mother's medical records, Nass wrote, quote, "I know some crack attorneys. I was certainly hoping to make public spectacle of an investigation," unquote. On Friday, Nass's adjudicatory hearing wrapped up its 6th full day. The first hearing date was over 9 months ago. Closing arguments and board deliberations will be scheduled for a later date. The board's grounds for disciplinary actions, which have been amended 3 times, with some allegations removed, include 13 violations related to patient care, incompetence, medical record keeping, quote, truth-telling and misrepresentation, unquote, and failure to comply with the board's complaint notification and subpoenas in a timely manner. The violations are based on her care of 3 patients, including Nancy Mahoney. Each was prescribed ivermectin or hydrochloroquine as anti-malarial drug to prevent or treat COVID-19. In each instance, disciplinary records say Nass never met the parents and only conducted care via telehealth, in which, among other allegations, Nass failed to establish a proper physician-patient relationship and maintain complete medical records and documentation. She is also accused of fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation for allegedly lying to a pharmacist that a prescription for hydrochloroquine was to treat Lyme disease. The patient was not diagnosed with Lyme disease. Nass told the board in a December 11th, 2021 email that she was forced to lie, as this was the only way to get a potentially life-saving drug for my patient. She repeated that she lied in a virtual hearing with some lawmakers days later. Despite her displeasure with the length of the proceedings, Nass said following Friday's hearing that she has succeeded in making her case a spectacle. Each day of the hearing has been live-streamed on the website and YouTube channel of Children's Health Defense, an anti-vaccine advocacy group chaired by Kennedy, which Nass said has garnered 180,000 viewers on at least one occasion. Kennedy, a long-shot candidate for the Democratic nomination for president, has been sharply denounced for spreading anti-vaccine misinformation, also by his own family member too, I might add. The Epoch Times, a far-right international media company, made a documentary claiming Nass is, quote, one of many doctors whose medical license is being threatened for deviating from official COVID guidelines, unquote. Earlier this year, she appeared on media personality Drew Pinsky's podcast and YouTube show, quote, Ask Dr. Drew, unquote, where she claimed the complaints the board received about her, quote, were fabricated by activists using targeted harassment to censor her freedom of speech, unquote. The Washington Post included the Nass case in an article last week that analyzed disciplinary records from medical boards in all 50 states. Quote, across the country, doctors who jeopardized patients' lives by pushing medical misinformation during the pandemic and its aftermath have faced few repercussions, unquote, the Post reported. Nass's practice has alarmed healthcare professionals, for example. Renata Moisey, a certified nurse, midwife in Ellsworth, told the board that one of her pregnant patients was taking hydrochloroquine prescribed by Nass. In an email to the board, a copy of which she shared with the Post, Moisey wrote, quote, when Dr. Nass promotes, prescribes, or advises treatments for COVID-19, which are not among the approved or recommended treatments, it hampers our ability here to promote the public health factors necessary for controlling the pandemic," unquote. Nass said Friday that she has treated hundreds more patients with ivermectin and hydrochloroquine. Ivermectin is most commonly used to treat worm infections in humans, but also has veterinary applications primarily for horses. Hydrochloroquine is similarly an anti-parasitic drug and is typically used for malaria treatment and prevention and to treat lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, according to the Mayo Clinic. The FDA has not approved ivermectin for treatment of COVID-19 and issued a warning against using hydrochloroquine outside of hospital settings or clinical trials due to serious heart risks. Mike Balos, a pastor at Main Street Church in Brunswick, and Sarah Bishop, a mother of 4 in Ellsworth and Moises patient, said at Friday's hearing they found Nass's name in a provider directory on Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance's website. The FLCCA was founded in the early days of the pandemic and endorses widely discredited treatment protocols for COVID. NASA's team called Mahoney, Balos, and Bishop, identified as patients 1, 2, and 3, respectively, in the disciplinary documents to testify Friday. Each said they were satisfied with NASA's care. Balos, like Mahoney, sought NAS for an ivermectin prescription to use prophylactically, and he too was hospitalized in December 2021 with severe COVID, according to patient records subpoenaed by the board. Balos was admitted to Mid-Coast Hospital in Brunswick on December 16th. He was intubated 2 days later and was on mechanical ventilation for 13 days. He was discharged January the 4th. Nass said the allegations against her have, quote, no legal justification and is a, quote, spurious, illegal, unjustified, without grounds prosecution, unquote, to go after her license. The medical board did not respond to a request for comment Friday evening. Well, there you have it. And this is Dr. Nass here. She's the one there that telling everybody to use all these drugs that were already disproven to be useful by by the National Health Board and stuff like that. I mean, these were drugs that they were unproven to be of any help at all to people to take to fight COVID, but people were still taking it. Okay, people were still trying to get to it. Why were they being so arrogant and trying to assume that, the things they were hearing from, Dr. Fauci and why they were assuming that they were not being upfront with them, I don't know. I'll never know. Okay, I think maybe it's because a lot of these people who decided that they were going to take matters into their own hands by trying to get ivermectin and and this chloroquine here, were people that were like Trump supporters, I guess, because Trump was making it sound like that this whole thing was a hoax, and so people either didn't believe what was being told to them by people in the know, actual doctors and scientists, and people, just figured that by going the other way was their way of saying, I don't believe you, I don't believe this is happening, and we're going to, in order to take something to fight their sickness. But here's the dumb thing about it, and this, if people felt so sick that they felt they needed to take a horse medication or hydrochloroquine, then they must have known there was something going on, right? They had to have. Otherwise, they would have just went to the CVS or Walgreens and grabbed something over the counter, right, to fight what was ailing them. Instead, they went and got something that they were told was going to fight COVID-19. Well, if they thought it was a hoax, then why did they follow those instructions? If they thought it was a hoax, you know what I'm saying? Don't you see what I'm getting at? Their actions actually are counter to what they were being told them what they were telling everybody they thought. They all thought it was a hoax, but yet they still went the route of getting medicine to fight something they knew was happening. They just didn't want to give Dr. Fauci the fucking credit that his idea was going to get them healthy again. Okay, that, I think it was done out of spite. And like I said, you know, if somebody's out there saying we got the flu going around and it's really bad, okay, and I'm sitting there saying, no, it ain't bad, it ain't nothing, okay, and then I get sick with this thing, and then I turn around and I run down to a drugstore and I get the most powerful thing there is because I know that people are getting sick everywhere. Aren't I saying that, you know, after I just said it ain't real, it's a hoax, that I'm already admitting to the fact that, yeah, there is something going on, okay, just by me going down there and getting the strongest thing I can find to kill it, right? So it's a very, very weird thing that, you know, they're out there trying to tell people that the whole thing was a hoax, and yet at the same time they all ran to the hospitals, they all ran to their doctors, and they took whatever the hell was being suggested people take to fight a virus that they say doesn't exist. Okay, and this is the case here where this lady here, Nass, I think, probably making a lot of money off of asinine people who think more than the doctors do, had them going to her. She talks to these people over their computers, telehealth, okay, and immediately she deems them, you know, sick, okay, just like Donald Trump deemed his documents as unclassified. She does the same thing without even a checkup, okay? She deems them sick. Then she tells them, now go get this drug here and that, okay? You know, what is she getting on it? I mean, is she getting kickbacks from that, from getting people, giving people the wrong kind of medicine? You know, I have to wonder, because how else would this have kept going on for so long unless there was some benefit to somebody somewhere, okay, to keep prescribing people medication they knew was not going to help them or save their life, okay? That it's only an act of God that some of these people were taking the wrong medicine and still lived through it, but I imagine it wasn't a very quick recovery for a lot. That whatever they were taking, I guess maybe it was their own body that fought it off. So at the end of the day, they probably ended up with their own, because they survived it, they ended up with a sort of immunity to it now, which isn't bad, but the fact is there's so many more people who didn't survive it, and a lot of them because they didn't believe in the pandemic at all. So, like I said, that's one of the odd things about this whole mess. And the fact that, you know, this woman here was hoping that this would get attention, national attention, says that she's one of those people that's like Trump, always looking for some angle to get her name in the fucking news, okay? She's an attention whore. And like a lot of Trump people out there, that's what they seem to like, is to getting attention. But, you know, more than that, here's let me give you kind of a, you know, as I see it, a shakedown here on what this is really about. And let's just pretend that I'm a doctor, okay? And as a doctor, all of a sudden we have a pandemic, okay? Excuse me. We have a pandemic, and I'm a doctor, and I'm treating people with, because I think it's probably something like a regular cold or something like that, and I'm treating people with medicine that's really not strong enough or meant for the pandemic that's out there. And then the head of the medical world, okay, comes out on TV and says, we found that these 3 things can help fight this pandemic until we can find a cure. And the options are A, B, and C, okay? And then I turn around and say, because some joker who isn't even a doctor says, oh, it's a hoax and all that, okay, and says other things, I say, well, no, I'm going to give them option D and E, okay? And I have patients that I got to take care of, okay? What gives me the right to countermand the experience of how many doctors at the top of the echelon of the medical field are saying and agreeing to, and my one fucking voice is going to say I'm going to take the side of a fucking politician and say that they know better than you, all of you put together. And I'm going to prescribe people options D and E, which are medicines that they already said don't help. In fact, they're not even meant for a kind of a sickness like this. Okay, they've already researched it and found it's not going to help. But I still use it anyway. Does that make me a responsible doctor for the people that come to me for help? No, it doesn't. It doesn't give me the right to play voodoo fucking medicine on my own patients. And that's what this really was Nass was actually playing a witch doctor.
Oh, I got a pot in the kitchen and I'm stirring up a dead corpse and, I'm putting all this, hair from a spider. This is gonna help you.
Okay, that's basically what she was doing, okay? It was like fucking, ancient days where, people would go out there and pray to the sun, to help them with their problems, okay? She's going around doing this shit, and yet, even though what she's doing has been proven not to work and all that, she's doing it because she says, I want to get public attention from this. I want this to get out there so that people... Okay, and yeah, it did work because you got a dingbat, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's more of a Republican these days than he ever was a Democrat, and he's going around telling people that, the pandemic was a fucking, the deep state fucking thing that was created, to gain some kind of... this guy's like out on Mars, okay? This fucking guy, his head is in Mars. And I don't know what the hell is wrong with him. His own family came out here a few days ago and said that they don't understand what's going on with their father. And they're not with him on this, okay? And they're asking people just to ignore him, okay? Because what he's saying is not backed up by anything factual or anything like that. And they're just, buyer beware. Okay, and he's been going around, and the Republicans love this guy. In fact, they're the ones that hope they hope Robert F. Kennedy becomes the Democrat primary. Okay, because once they get him in their crosshairs, they're gonna shit all over him just so they can get Trump in there. Because that's the only way Trump is going to win the White House, is if they put Robert F. Kennedy as the Democratic primary winner. Okay, Kennedy versus Trump. What that's like a wrestling match, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. And of course, that's what the way they're looking at this. If they could put, the likes of Kennedy up against Trump and Trump beats a Kennedy, then that means Trump was the best president ever because, we brought down a Kennedy. Even if the Kennedy is a fucking mental moron, okay, they're still going to hail that as a big triumph, okay? And since, Kennedy's out there making himself look like a fool, there's not a Democrat on his side in this. Oh, he's, 2% approval, okay? That means most Democrats don't even give a shit about what he says because they know he's acting like a fucking nut. So he's not liked by the Democrats, and the Republicans know this, and they're going to try and manipulate things so that way he becomes the primary leader for the Democrat Party, and that way Trump will easily beat him in the election, okay? Because they know Trump doesn't have a chance against Biden. He doesn't have a chance against anybody, essentially. They could run Hillary Clinton up against him again, and she might win, okay? Because everything she said about him turned out to be true, okay? And the Democrats are going to, run alongside her, kissing her ass and begging for her fucking forgiveness for having sided against her, okay? So Trump can't win, and he's got almost 80 goddamn charges sitting against him that's got to go to court and everything. It's a criminal. They're putting a criminal up to run for their party, so that goes to show you what kind of party is supporting Trump. Okay, it's a mob. It's a fucking gangster movie, is what it is. These people are fucking gangsters. They're the fucking mafia. Okay, that might as well be what you call that party now. It's a Don Trump, okay, and all of his underlings, his captains and his fucking lieutenants and all them under him in the fucking mob. That's what he is. And that party wants the mob to win. They want crime to win the day. All right, they love America. They're patriotic, and yet they want a crime boss to win. Their own actions show us what they're really about. Forget the signs on their cars, forget the flags they ride around with, okay, the bumper sticker slogans that they spend tons of money on decorating their ass into their cars. Okay, forget all about that. Those people are contradiction unto themselves. They don't believe half of what they out there trying to sell you. They don't. Okay, their only goal is to see crime win, crime tear down this country and turn it into some fucking thing that they think it'll be a better thing than what we got now. Okay, even though none of them have a fucking clue as to what they would put in the place of our government. Not one of them. It's a typical thing about Republicans. They'll bitch and complain about something, but they offered nothing to replace it, what their idea would be, because they know they don't have one. They don't have an idea. They have no fucking brain power in that party. They're only good at criticizing and slinging mud. All right, anybody can do that. And it sells tickets because people love to hear mudslinging. Okay, it gets people energized, angry, gets them to vote. I mean, that's how they get their people to vote, is just by rage and anger and nonsense, essentially. That's what they're all about. All right, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Seen one white supremacist. There's a boogeyman of white supremacy, which I don't think anyone can see.
White nationalist is racist, Senator.
Well, that's your opinion. If the Democrats want to say that white nationalists are racist, I'm totally against that too.
Stop calling Tommy Tuberville a racist simply because he talked about having white skin and being a nationalist.
My amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve.
Diversity absolutely means anti-white.
Chick-fil-A, I mean, you know, I'm hesitant to make a fried chicken joke, but they sell fried chicken. I don't know how much more inclusive we can get here.
The State Board of Education just approved new rules for how to teach Black history in public schools.
How slaves developed skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit.
This is well documented among historians. This is historical fact that slaves did develop skills while they were enslaved.
They're probably going to show some of the folks that eventually parlayed, being a blacksmith into doing things later in life.
Right? I mean, you compare black guys to black guys, women to other women. You can't compare Soros to another Jewish guy.
The Soros-backed prosecutors, Soros DA.
Soros prosecutor.
His master, George Soros.
Mr. Soros.
George Soros.
Soros-funded DAs.
You sit down and think about all the anti-Semitism, so-called, not real, so-called.
You had to survive in a concentration camp by having skills. You had to be useful.
The people who are opposed to me are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
This guy has a right to say whatever he wants to say, and it's not anymore, if you don't agree with me, you can't say it. That is not America.
Oh, of course the Jews run Hollywood.
Might not want to show too much of the bottom part there, but without too many curse words here, sir. What are your thoughts?
I don't have friends. I don't have family.
He's honest. He cares about kids. He cares about guns. He cares about our country.
Trump is mean.
Right now, my rights are being denied by the FBI.
I'm a proud Polish person.
He tells the truth, never lies.
I'm old. You can see I'm old. I'm older.
We need to get down on our hands and knees and pray for this man to get into office.
Trump has a big mouth. We all have big mouths. Right, people? Trump! Trump! Trump!
His Christian values that he stands for.
We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump!
But definitely not woke, definitely not anything about any of that type of mentality.
Evil's taken over. Good needs to overcome the evil, and Donald Trump is going to do it.
King Jesus first and then King Trump.
And China. Put an end to it.
It's my birthday weekend.
The left and the rhinos, the globalists.
They kill them all. Kill them all.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Holy fuck.
Were you just checking out her ass?
No, I wasn't.
You know what? Fuck this.
Wait, babe, calm down. Oh my god. Mary! I am sorry!
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody. Now another thing going on here, and this is in Florida now with Governor Ron death sentence here. He's up to something here, and I'm going to tell you what that is here in this article. It's from the Miami Herald. It's written by Anna Ceballos, entitled "Indoctrination in Florida Schools. PragerU's conservative content aims to change minds." Governor Ron DeSantis repeatedly says he opposes indoctrination in schools, yet his administration in early July approved materials from a conservative group that says it's all about indoctrination and changing minds. The Florida Department of Education determined that educational materials geared toward young children and high school students created by PragerU, that's short for Prager University, a nonprofit co-founded by conservative radio host Dennis Prager, was in alignment with the state's standards on how to teach civics and government to K through 12 students. A radio show. McCollum, he wants to... The content, some of which is narrated by conservative personalities such as Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, features cartoons, 5-minute video history lessons, and storyline shows for young children, and is part of a brand called PragerU Kids. And the lessons shared a common message. Being pro-American means aligning oneself to mainstream conservative talking points, meaning to say, we're patriotic, listen to us. We are in the mind-changing business, and few groups can say that, Prager says in a promotional video for PragerU as a whole. He reiterated this sentiment this summer at a conference for the conservative group Moms for Liberty in Philadelphia, saying it is, quote, unquote, fair to say PragerU indoctrinates children. Quote, it's true we're bringing doctrines to children, unquote. Quote, but what is the bad about our indoctrination, unquote. The governor's office and the Florida Department of Education declined to say how PragerU's mission and statements align with state law and DeSantis's vow to ensure Florida classroom instruction does not indoctrinate or persuade students to accept a specific viewpoint. PragerU is not an accredited university, and it publicly says the group is a, quote, force of good, unquote, against the left. It's a nonprofit organization based in Los Angeles that produces videos that touch on a range of themes, including climate policies, specifically how, quote, energy poverty, not climate change, unquote, is the real crisis. The flaws of Canada's government-run healthcare system and how the American privatized system is better, and broad support for law enforcement and rejection of Black Lives Matter. In some cases, the videos tell kids that their teachers are misinformed or lying. Some videos talk about the history of race, relations, and slavery. In one video, 2 kids travel back in time to meet Christopher Columbus, who tells them that he should not be judged for enslaving people because the practice was, quote, no big deal, unquote, in his time. Columbus argued to the kids that he did not see a problem with it because, quote, being taken as a slave is better than being killed, unquote. In another video entitled, quote, A Short History of Slavery, unquote, and narrated by Owens, she says that the first thing kids need to know is that, quote, slavery was not invented by white people, unquote, and that it also took place in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. She also says, quote, white people were the first to put an end to slavery, unquote, when it was abolished by Britain in 1834. Quote, after centuries of human slavery, white men led the world in putting an end to the abhorrent practice. That includes the 300,000 Union soldiers, overwhelmingly white, who died during the Civil War, unquote. Owen says, while adding that, quote, no one, regardless of skin color, stands guiltless, unquote, noting that white slaves have also existed. In a statement, Florida Department of Education spokesperson Cassie Palis said the the state agency, quote, reviewed PragerU kids and determined the materials aligned to Florida's revised civics and government standards, unquote. Quote, PragerU kids is no different than many other resources which can be used to supplement materials in Florida schools at district discretion, unquote. Palella said she added that PragerU kids did not submit a bid to be included in 2022 or in 23 instructional material list, but did not answer when asked if it had submitted a bid for the 2023-24 school years. Florida approves PragerU content for use in schools. That type of content can now be used in Florida classrooms at the discretion of schools. The option is becoming available as the DeSantis administration and Republican lawmakers add other right-leaning educational choices to students, including a classic learning test, revised K-12 standards, and an overhaul of college-level course offerings. Adrian McCarthy, a Kansas State University teacher who co-authored a case study on PragerU after viewing hundreds of its videos, said in an interview that the content has a, quote, very strong agenda, unquote. Quote, the videos have this very strong us versus them dichotomy, and it's usually the evil, immoral leftists versus the moral Judeo-Christian right, unquote, McCarthy said. Quote, they are attacking culture and trying to change rhetoric, unquote. With colorful animation, catchy melodies, and adventurous child protagonists, the content is seemingly harmless and friendly, she says, but she argued the content could potentially serve as a, quote, gateway for right extremism, unquote. Quote, if we're teaching ideologies that overlap with far-right groups and that becomes normalized, then it's easier for those far-right groups to become more brave and grow, unquote, McCarthy said. Melissa Streit, the chief executive officer of PragerU, said in an interview that the group's content is meant to, quote, create an even playing field, unquote, in schools, and that the only ones accusing them of indoctrinating students with a right-wing ideology are, quote, probably the teachers' unions, unquote, which she said don't want to lose control of the system. Teacher unions have criticized the organization. In a video posted on TikTok, Florida Education Association President Andrew Spar said the group has a, quote, political agenda, unquote, as it goes over some of its content. Quote, we believe in teaching an honest history, a complete history. We believe in teaching the truth, unquote, Spar said in the video. Quote, teachers are not pushing an agenda, they are pushing to educate children. This PragerU is pushing an agenda. You don't have to take my word for it. Check it out for yourselves. This is part of the agenda of Ron DeSantis, unquote. Streit defended the group's content and messaging in a phone interview. Quote, to label PragerU as right-wing, one should also label at the same time virtually 80% of what's in American schools right now as extreme left-wing, unquote. Streit said, the, quote, the ideology that we promote is a pro-American ideology, the ideology of which America was essentially built. Upon that has created this nation. But we are not a political enterprise, we are a pro-American enterprise. Streit and PragerU Kids was launched 2 years ago at about the same time groups like Moms for Liberty stepped into the mainstream political world, and school board meetings across the country become engulfed by partisan culture wars as parents and activists debated pandemic restrictions, race, and gender issues. Quote, we launched because we realized that there are many parents who want their kids to learn more than what they're learning in schools, unquote, Streit said. Quote, we are very, very big believers in education choice, and we believe that parents should be involved and have the right to really make sure that their kids are learning what it is that they believe that they should learn, unquote. In Florida, the state approved the content to be used as supplemental material in classroom instruction. It does not mean that PragerU will be writing the curriculum at a school, but that if a school approved the use of the material, a teacher could use it as an aid to teach a class. The materials could be used starting in the upcoming school year, but some districts, including Broward, Miami-Dade, Pasco, and Pinellas, say that curriculum guides remain under development and that no decisions have been made to accommodate PragerU content. They said that they have no plans to review the materials for inclusion unless PragerU submits a bid to be considered. Street said that the groups believe in transparency and that anything that would be made available to classrooms would be made available online for parents to see. The group's website, PragerU.com, includes links to dozens of video clips, its mission, and information for those who want to learn and donate to their cause. It also indicates a list of its presenters, which include conservative activists and Turning Point founder Charlie Kirk, David Rubin, a conservative commentary and political supporter of DeSantis, and Will Witt, a longtime influencer for PragerU and the editor-in-chief of the conservative media outlet The Florida Standard, an outlet DeSantis and his office turn to frequently to amplify their message. The website does not include information on who is creating the content or its reference sources. When asked for more information on the content creators, Street said there, quote, are a lot of people involved, unquote, with different expertise, but that the group does not intend to disclose their names or credentials on their website because, quote, we live in a world where people attack people who they disagree with, unquote. Street has found supporters in Florida. She said talks of bringing PragerU kids to Florida, the first state in the nation to approve its content, began over the summer with Education Commissioner Manny Diaz and K-12 Chancellor Paul Burns. Quote, the state did not approach us, unquote, Street said. Quote, I would say that we got to know each other through mutual friends and we started talking about how we can be helpful. It is not that they came and applied for us to do something, unquote. Before the initiative was launched in Florida, Street said that she also crossed paths with Florida's First Lady, Casey DeSantis. Street did not specify when or where, but she said that is how she learned that the DeSantis family showed PragerU videos to their young kids. Quote, so I imagine that if he thinks it's good enough for his own children, why wouldn't it be good enough for other Floridians, unquote, Street said. DeSantis' office did not respond when asked if this was true. Okay, that's it. Pretty lengthy. But there's a lot to be said here, what's going on in Florida about this. And this PragerU thing here is not even a fucking university. As it just said, it's a fucking radio show founded by a bunch of extremist right-wing nuts, okay? And they want to put that in the classrooms, okay? They want kids to hear this shit, if the teachers want to, okay? I don't know if they're going to force the teachers to put that in there, but they're saying that if they want to, they can, all right? But given the state of the education system in Florida now, which is in shambles, essentially, and that's the way DeSantis wants it, by the way. What's going to happen now is that the schools that are in shambles are going to now be twisted around to become propaganda institutions for kids in school. And, you know, what this article here is trying to tell parents is if you live in Florida, you might want to consider taking your kids out of school and educating them somewhere else, because now the education system in Florida is in the fucking tank. It's no good. No good. And any teacher that stays there and has to work under the DeSantis terms of being a teacher is basically a sellout, because they're not being asked to teach, they're just being asked to parrot everything DeSantis wants them to parrot, okay? And my answer to that is every school Ron DeSantis ever went to should come out publicly and say he's been disowned by the fucking school. All of his diplomas are recalled due to him, just like what they did to Bill Cosby when it come out about all the, you know, the women and stuff like that, accusing him of rape and shit like that. They took everything away from him that he had accumulated over the years that made him such an icon of America. Let's do the same thing to DeSantis. Let these schools decide for themselves. Are you going to let that man walk around with your diploma saying the things that he's saying because he's representing your fucking school? And if you don't agree with what he's saying, then do something about it. Get his ass away from your school because he's going to make you look like a bunch of fucking nuts. You don't want him carrying around diplomas from colleges or high schools or something like that, knowing that the man is saying things that people are going to say were taught in those schools. How else would he have gotten to that point, right? So, you know, it would behoove these places to consider distancing themselves from him as far as they can, you know, and that would be the best thing to do. And like I said, why they ain't doing that yet, I don't know. Because look, if Bill Cosby was so bad that they had to do what they did to keep their name out of the goddamn records, okay, then Ron DeSantis, I think, is up there too. That ought to also be kicked out of, known for being in certain places. Okay, he's really got a really bad fucking reputation here, and it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. And how far does he want to drag those schools down with him, and how far are they going to let him drag them down? That's the question, you know. But, you know, let's put it like this. Let's just say Rush Limbaugh was still around, okay? Let's say he's still on the radio shooting his big mouth off like he always does, coming up with, you know, new labels to put on women with his misogynistic view on things. Let's say he's still around and he's got his radio show going. Imagine that the schools, or DeSantis wants to put Rush Limbaugh into the classrooms. This is the same thing. For those of you out there that are laughing right now because of that, what I'm painting here for you, understand that this is exactly what's happening, only Rush Limbaugh isn't the fucking thing being put in the classrooms. It's a spin-off of Rush Limbaugh, PragerU, okay, by people like him. It's the same thing. Now, many of us probably have never seen PragerU or listened to any content from PragerU. I don't know. I haven't, personally. I haven't. I read about it, okay? I read what they do. I've seen their website. You know, saw a few things that they do. They're really obvious about what they are, okay? It's, you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what their agenda is. But this is what they want to put in the classrooms. And all I can say is kids from K through 12. I mean, why K? What kindergarten? What the hell? I don't know. Anyway, kids are impressionable at those years. Okay? I know that because I witnessed it myself when I was in high school. The kids going to school, you know, thought Ronald Reagan was the best thing since sliced cheese. Okay? They were getting that from their parents, obviously, because none of them could even vote. And none of them would spend time enough to watch fucking news and politics, okay? If they went home, they were watching Voltron or Star Trek or something else. They weren't involved in the politics, but they're just parroting what their parents were saying. That's what's going to happen with these kids. When they come home from school, okay, and they're sitting here talking, they're going to start talking like that, like lunatics. And you're going to say, Christ, what the hell are they teaching you in that fucking school? Okay? Do you parents out there, do you want that to happen? Or are you going to, you know, let this go on? You know, down here in Florida, I'm asking you people in Florida, are you going to sit still for that when your kids come home and tell you that you're wrong about this or wrong about that because, you know, your parents might be Democrat and now your kid's going to be a starch extremist Republican because they keep pumping that PragerU shit down his throat every fucking day? You see? This is like, what was that movie I was watching there? 1984, when all the kids are singing this fucking song, you know, and what the hell, you know, a pro-nationalist song when they're riding to school on the bus and they're all singing together, and the ones that aren't singing are the older people who didn't grow up with that crap. Now the young little kids are the ones taught to sing all that and become fucking like Nazi children or something, okay? That's what this is going to end up being. You mean a busload of kids all being indoctrinated, okay, and all living like Nazis in their head. What do you think? How do you think they're going to behave in public when they're not in school and they're out there trying to play with other kids and stuff? Hold on a second.
Jesus.
What do you think's going to happen to the kids? You know? Do you think they're going to interact normally with other kids? When other kids start saying something that they don't agree with? Or you think the kids are going to be less bullyish, or are they going to be more bullyish? Now they're not going to be fighting over stupid little things like, who's better, Superman or Batman or something. They're going to be fighting over, oh, you think that abortion is okay? And they're all anti-abortion. You're going to have fights breaking out before these kids are out of high school over things like that, where we're already fighting about that now as adults. Our kids are going to be at each other's throats doing the same goddamn thing. Okay? That's the fucking thought that ought to wake you up at night. Okay? When it's too late to realize that you stepped into a fucking mess by letting your kids be brainwashed by fucking nuts on the right who are losing the majority of their country. Okay? Their numbers are dwindling, okay? The people in that party are getting too old, like Mitch McConnell, who he just like had a fucking heart attack in front of everybody on TV here a couple days ago, okay? They're a party that's dying because people are not siding with them on the stupid extremist things that they keep coming up with. They're not, the things that they say aren't helping anybody. But what they're all about telling you is you shouldn't like these people, you can't like these people are a problem, and you got to hate all the Democrats. Okay? How is any of that going to put more money in your wallet? How is any of that going to help you raise your children? How is any of that shit going to help you get a job? Okay? When all they want to feed you is hate, but they never have anything to offer you other than that. No plans on anything. They just want the money to keep coming out of your pocket straight to the top, to the people who don't need it. You people, the Republicans will set themselves up to be guinea pigs and victims once again. And hey, why not? Victimhood is the thing in the Republican Party. Everybody wants to play the victim, even Donald Trump. No, they're coming after me. They're picking on me. He's a victim, always a victim, okay? And everybody in that party is imitating what he does. They're all victims, and so they feel like if we're being victimized, and we got to fight, we got to do this, we got to do that. They're living in a fucking bubble. Okay, they're living in a fucking bubble. None of the things that they think are happening are happening. Nobody's gonna come and get their fucking guns. They think that's gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna. No, it doesn't matter how many Democrats, okay, are in the Senate or in the Congress or sitting in the White House or in the fucking judiciary. That's never going to happen because nobody can agree on anything about guns. You got pro-gun activists even in the Democratic Party. So you're never going to see a day where guns are just going to be taken off the street. That's the price we're going to continually pay. Dead children on the roads, okay? That's a given. So they have nothing to worry about. They'll be able to keep their guns. And this constant NRA propaganda bullshit that they keep swallowing and spreading out on TV and Fox News and everything, forget it. It's just to keep people buying. Keep them buying more guns. Okay? That's all it is. So, like I said, you people in Florida with your children and stuff like that, if you give any shit at all about your kids growing up normal, which in Florida is probably going to be very difficult now. If you care at all or have any responsibility for your children's future, okay, you're going to want to check out any fucking school that you're going to send them to and make damn sure that what they teach those kids isn't going to be something approved by Ron DeSantis, okay, but by an education board not influenced by Ron DeSantis. You're going to have to really look deep into that, or just simply move the hell out of Florida. To me, that would be the easier thing, because it's going to become very, very difficult in the days to come to find a school in Florida that's not going to be touched by political garbage coming from the right, okay? Politics has now infiltrated our kids' schools in a bad fucking way, okay? And even though this is happening in Florida, believe me, it's going to be happening in other red states in this country, you know, and it's going to become a national issue that, once again, is going to become a problem created by Republicans, which they're going to use to divide the country again, which is how they always start something in order to win seats. They divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. That's what they do, okay? And they're creating this educational problem, which is going to spread nationally as a method of division in which they can reap all the rewards of winning seats, okay? They're, like I said, they're a dying party, people. Their numbers are in the fucking tank. You know, people are really getting sick and tired of the modern day Republican Party, okay? The Trumplicans, as I like to call them. They're really getting tired of them. So they know their days are numbered, and how they want to go down in history as another political party that just, you know, like the Whig Party or something, just disappeared and all that and came back as something else. If that's what's going to happen to them, that's what's going to happen. And then, you know, if they're not going to change their ways, and they're sealing their own fate, okay? They can control their future, whether for a positive or the negative. It all depends on us whether or not we're going to let them go negative without a fight. I mean, I don't think we ought to lay down here and give up on this when the Republicans are kicking themselves in the nuts, okay? We ought to help them go down in flames, so that way maybe, you know, something better will come out of it. You know, maybe a better right-wing party. You know, you still got the you know, the Lincoln Project out there that's got people that are more moderate Republican thinkers. Maybe they can start a new political party on top of the remains of the GOP. You know, who knows? But we ought to be there to help move that along, so that way this country can heal itself, because we're never going to be able to heal anything as long as that group of people, the Trumplicans, have any claws into government, you know. All right, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and I will hope you guys keep your ears open to COVID-19 news, and subscribe and comment whenever you feel like it. It doesn't matter to me, because I ain't getting money for doing this, but it's, you know, if you want to add 2 cents to what I say, please, you know, don't be afraid. Just put it in there. And, you know, treat each other nice out there, okay? You know, one of the first things to change what is to change what we are, okay? We have to act differently. If how we're behaving is creating this chaos in America, then we have to be part of the solution, which means we have to change what we're doing inside, so that way we can change what we're doing outside, and that's really the best thing to do. So I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.